I also brought my MRI reports from previous to the MRI I had on August 5th, if you want those.
I will look at the MRI and see if I'll have a better understanding of the MRI by looking at it than by reading the report.
Oh, yeah. I've got discs all the way back to 5 years ago when my hammock accident happened.
Tell me about the accident.
Well, my mom bought me this beautifully colored cloth hammock, and we were up at a friend's cabin, and I went in the shed to find something to hang the hammock with, and I found those yellow hooks that people use to hang your bicycle in the attic of the garage with. Well, I didn't know they don't hold body weight, and I'm from Colorado, so I screwed them into the aspen trees and hung up my hammock, and the hook at my head bent and let loose of the hammock, dropping me 4 feet to the ground. I could not feel my legs. I was taken by ambulance to the Kremling Hospital and then airlifted by helicopter to St. Anthony's in Denver because I couldn't feel my legs. They said I had paresthesia, the temporary paralysis. I was in a wheelchair for a while. I use a walker. I have an ankle foot orthotic on, and my foot is numb while I have the brace on, but I have to wear it for stability. I have somatic dysfunction. There's a long list of stuff. A bulging disc. 2 torn discs. I've seen a orthopedic surgeon at your West location, Dr. Tanya Fleming, a month or 2 ago, and I had x-rays done while I was there for hopes of getting a SI joint fusion, and she said, you don't want that because the bolts are big and we have people come back wanting it removed, and once we put it in, we can't remove it.
It's a one-way street, cannot be undone.
Correct. Which I understood that, and I told her thank you for letting me know, but
with that, sometimes it's the only answer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so there's a difference between being the only option or a good option.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So that's why I'm here, because you are my last hope at
No, I'm not your last hope. Don't think of me.
alleviating all my pain that's from here down.
So I'm not your last hope. I am a hope. We're gonna try things, and if it don't work, we'll try something else.
Okay, I like that. Thank you. Having hope is huge. Because it's hard to ride in a car for 4 hours and
Are
then
you
be
able to
told
lie down
no.
on your back?
Yeah. As long as I'm not laying on my back with my knees up, because my back isn't right. Whereas you can see my bulging disc right now.
I do.
If I were to bend over.
I would want, can you be able to bring this heel over this knee?
Yeah,
Try to do that.
it burns my butt cheek, but yeah.
And push this knee down. Okay. What happens when you do that?
It pops.
Yeah, other than the pop.
I have pain in the groin area
Okay.
from my SI joint and a burning sensation on the inside of my thigh.
But this is actually pretty good. It means that a lot of your pain is neuropathic in nature, more than it is from SI joint, just by able to pop it like this.
Okay.
You have SI joint dysfunction.
Yes.
I wanted to see what's the contribution of the SI joint dysfunction to the pain. Now, the body is a fantastic machine. Structural damage doesn't always correlate with the amount of pain. In other words, you could have a 90% damaged SI joint and a 10% disc disruption that gives you 90% of the pain from the disc and 10% of the SI joint. So structure and function don't always go together.
Okay.
And therefore, it's important to know what you're trying to treat, because looking at the pictures alone is not enough. But you have an ankle orthosis, AFO.
Yeah, because my leg does this when I'm sitting, and that's where they said about. And then I have a 1/4 inch lift in that shoe.
Sure. Can you raise your leg straight and touch my hand? If you can.
Oh.
Okay. Right. Push down. Push down. How about this one? Right, push down. So
The left side of me is good. The right side of me is not so good.
you can go back to the position where you feel comfortable. So this is good news, because my assessment is that most of your pain is neuropathic, not from the SI joint, which means you're more of a candidate for a spinal cord stimulation trial. That's the appropriate treatment for you.
Okay.
We can do spine surgery and fuse it and do all that stuff. You're still going to end up with a spinal cord stimulator.
Yeah, I had back surgery 2 years ago in Eugene at the hemilaminectomy.
Yeah, I see that. And you had scar tissue as a result of that.
Yeah, and I do get injections about every 90 days from my primary care doctor in both SI joints.
Okay. So I think you're a good candidate for a spinal cord stimulation trial. It is called a trial for a reason, because
Correct.
it doesn't work all the time. It also can work for things, but not for others. So we would like to do that. I would like to offer you this.
I would try it.
It's contingent on insurance approval.
My doctor said she would help push for the insurance approval because, you know.
This is CCO Medicaid. There's
Okay.
really no push. It's a matter of pairing between diagnosis and code. It's really a computer. It's not even a human that does this.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So, but if it doesn't get approved, then we will need to push. If we get a denial for which we have to appeal, then yes, we would need supporting documents.
Okay.
In order for anyone to undergo spinal cord stimulation, you have to undergo what's called neuropsychological assessment. So we can send you to get.
I'm in mental health therapy every 2 weeks.
But it doesn't mean that you're not a candidate. It just
Oh.
means to make sure that you're not having severe depression that needs to be treated first.
I have severe PTSD. Is that bad? I've had it
It's
20
not
years.
good. It's not good, but it's not.
I'm getting better.
Yeah, but it's not a contraindication for stimulation.
Okay.
I actually think you were going to pass the neuropsych testing. Don't worry about that.
Thank you.
But it's an essential element of the approval process.
Sure. Understandable.
The trial is done using 2 spaghetti noodle wires that are implanted in your back by a needle.
Okay.
It takes about 30 minutes to do. The risk is what's called spinal fluid leak or wet tap, in which the needle, instead of staying in between the covering of the nerve and the inside of the spine, it's end up being inside the covering of the nerve. That usually happens because people can develop scar tissue after spine surgery, in which
Correct.
that space does not exist.
That.
But we are trying to we will go 3 or 4 levels above where you had that to bypass this issue.
Understandable. Okay.
Nevertheless, it still could happen, and it's actually more of a risk for skinny people like you. Because when you are heavy set, that fat tissue also deposits in that space and opens it up.
Yeah, I've lost, I was 204 pounds last year. I was sick with mono. My Epstein-Barr virus came back that I had when I was 16. And I was drinking a sugar-free Powerade every day. And it turned out I was allergic to the fake sugars in it. And as a result, I've got my weight stabilized now in the 120s with doing the Carnation nutrition drinks.
Okay.
And eating what I can.
So, and then if that passes, we give you a permanent system, which consists of also a permanent electrode, but with a battery that's implanted in your body and gets.
One guy in Roseburg said we used to have to drive 2 hours to Medford every day, back and forth for our prescriptions, until Adapt opened up their office in Roseburg. I said, you're kidding, 2 hours? It's 4 hours round trip, 7 days a week.
That's crazy. Like doing the 4-hour trip here from Reedsport to Portland is in Colorado. It's the same as driving from Denver to Grand Junction, Colorado, which is one place that I lived. That was a 4-hour drive, so.
I would love to have seen the famous amphitheater somewhere up in the mountains.
Red
above
Rocks.
Denver. Yeah.
Red Rocks Amphitheater, that's where my high school graduation was.
Oh.
June 1989.
I watched a TV show where they say that some kind of monster shows up at night time if you're there all by yourself at night. And
Ghost Adventures?
yeah, it probably was.
Really?
Said some scary monster shows up and people can disappear.
No, it's the Hatchet Lady you're talking about. My mom used to tell me
About that.
about the Hatchet Lady, and she would tell my sister and I while we were riding in the car. And my sister Connie and I would be so scared that we would be crouched down like behind the driver's seat there in the passenger seat.
Ooh.
And she talked about the history of the Hatchet Lady while we're driving through Red Rocks after dark. We were both crying as she was telling this story, and then I kept the tradition going by telling my children about the story of the Hatchet Lady.
I have to look that up on the phone.
At Red Rocks Amphitheater, and it's a pretty gruesome story, but I'm sure it's like you tell someone a secret and it changes as it goes through everybody.
Yeah, as it goes from one person to the next, the story slowly changes around.
Such fun traffic on the Portland after. Are we still in Portland?
I would say we are still in the Portland area.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say we're still on the outskirts of Portland.
Gotcha.
Because the timer says 2 hours and 58 minutes to go, and the timer slows down with the speed of the vehicle.
Yeah. My kids asked me once if, and you know, the ice cream truck as it's driving down the road playing music, if it drives faster, does that mean the music plays faster?
That would be kind of logical. Would it speed up like the motor in a car?
Yeah, would the music, play faster to a faster tune or beat if the ice cream truck were to go, drive on the highway?
Yeah, that's true, because sometimes when you crank those old record players, sometimes in the beginning it goes fast.
Exactly, and the 33 or 45 switch on the record player.
Yeah, I've got a record player, and I go to the thrift stores, get really inexpensive old-fashioned records, and they're a lot of fun, those old-fashioned.
Yeah, I had a couple albums. I had Michael Jackson, I had Cyndi Lauper, I had Madonna back in the 80s.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have some of those records. Yeah,
they're not worth anything, though.
No, not really. Pick them up easy for $1 at a thrift store.
Even when Michael Jackson died and everybody was selling their albums on eBay, and I think one of them sold for $10,000. But it was unopened, still had the plastic on it.
So that was good for whoever sold it. That would be great to take home a $10,000.
Well, it's sad that people pay more attention after they die. I mean, they should focus on that person or artist while they're still here.
Yeah, an artist told me, he says, And he's a famous Utah artist. He says, well, when we die, that's when our paintings really become valuable because we can't produce any more paintings. So then that's the end of it. So
Yeah, just like with poets, you know.
right, no more poetry.
When you're a poet and didn't know it, and you start writing it down, so you don't frown. I'm a poet.
That's it.
Oh, this traffic is awful.
This is probably the slowest it's been, but sometimes if the speed is a middle speed, people are bouncing all over and doing stupid stuff. When it's super slow, then they're forced to behave themselves.
Another reason I love small town coastal living is really the only traffic I've ever sat in was for construction.
Yeah, right. Or, yeah, one day I was taking a woman to Coos Bay through your area, and oh man, we sit for an hour and a half for a car accident. Probably about 15 minutes before you get to Coos Bay.
Right.
Both lanes shut down. It's like, oh my gosh. An hour and a half sitting. It was pitch dark out. She was sitting in the back. We were just talking away. And, yeah. And
How far, or what town is the rest stop in?
you know, it's usually about an hour and 15 minutes south of Portland is usually what it is.
Yeah, but that's normal traffic.
Yeah, normal traffic is usually about an hour, 20 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. And so I think according to the timer, I think we've only cut off about 10 minutes because of this super slow traffic.
Okay, cool.
And it stays just icy, cold, slow traffic to Salem. Yeah, so it's a good path. It's similar to the location of the other one, you know, that we had.
Yeah.
There's pretty similar locations when it comes to being close to Portland.